Don't you fucking start! I don't work all goddamn day to come home to this bullshit!
The mortgage is 3 months late! The bank will take the house if we don't pay them by Friday! Why'd you have to go and blow your whole goddamn check in the track?
I was trying to make something happen around here! So why don't you please just shut your fucking mouth!
Shut my fucking mouth! I gave up my goddamn life for you cleaning this fucking house and raising your daughter!
Oh,
and this is the thanks I get!
You haven't brought in a fucking penny! You lay on the couch all goddamn day with that bottle in your hand, and if you did such a great job raising your daughter, how come she quit college? I'll tell you why, because she's fucked up like you and everyone else.
Oh, why don't you go
always
fuck
alone in a
yourself?
room with that
It's
door
your
locked playing the fucked up music.
You're locked up in the...
What the fuck is going on in there?
Dynamic remain tonight. With a football you face, I'm the only one. Hit me when I'm done it. Face has to come out. This time I see you. See the journey knocked down. 1999. Feeling off, vision, sunshine. Hey, fucking shit. Feeling off, it's what you got. Getting up tonight. It's my only reaction. You got no more. Sucker punch and you're not shot. Debes ir con las cosas. Te olvidando, tu cara te pone tonta. Dígame si tienes por atrás de. Te cago encima, como te hice antes. Really close that way! Are you feed?
There's nothing I'd rather be doing than being on stage with these dudes, because to me, like, that half hour, 40 minutes that we're on stage, there's nothing like it.
I have to sacrifice everything. The money I make, the time, my free time, anything. Everything has to go toward doing this. But that's what I want to do.
If you look at the shows that are happening in Manhattan, for the most part, it's not really hardcore. You know, there's a lot of bands that have busted their ass for years, like Billy Club, like EGH, that can't even get on a show in the city. Like, they gotta beg and plead. And that sucks, because you're shortchanging a lot of good bands. You're shortchanging a lot of kids who will be exposed to good bands. and you're shortchanging yourself because it's not like we're not going to make money for the dude anyway. So what is it except maybe a personal thing?
One of the funny stories had to do with our old bass player, Stevens, was in the band. And we were all drunk as hell at the lowdown, and Martin knocked Stevens over his bass amp in the middle of us doing Peter Wilson. Last song of the set, in the middle of the set, he knocks him clear over his amp, and out of the corner of my eye, like I just noticed that Matt's gone at first, and then I look and realize Matt's climbing back over his amp, all pissed off, his hair's all crazy, and he's just got this look on his face, and he was this little metalhead kid, and he's just like, yo, what the fuck just happened?
Picks up his amp.
And ends up, while still sitting down, first throws his bass at Martin, who jumps over and it's like, blah, 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 blah. We're still playing.
Yeah, I'm still playing. I'm looking at Glenn laughing. Now he tosses the bass,
Then
picks up his amp.
This little dude is like, and just throws it.
You just hear gong, 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 gong. The amp go flying past him. He runs across stage, grabs fucking Stevens by the neck.
He's got him yoked up against the fucking
They
glass.
both
Next thing I hear,
fall over.
Yo, get
Lyrically, the most recent song that we did, well, between me and Tony, was chin music. I didn't understand the whole concept of chin music, but when he just said, instead of feeling it here, you're gonna feel it right here.
I mean, that just happens to, it comes from shit that you go through, like, my father passed, and me and him were real close, and I was fucked up for a long time, and we had to write something because he was feeling the same way. And when we wrote it, it came out even better than we thought it would, and I would have to agree that that's probably, of our newest songs, probably my favorite, but it also has a lot more personal meaning to me.
I grew up in the projects, and it was all black people, and everybody listened to rap. I was the only Spanish, non-English kid fucking...
Yeah, yo, I don't know how you walked around in the Bronx.
Yeah, this
wearing
dude is from the
shit right
projects talking Satan, kid. Look,
That's
Death
my high
Code,
school
upside down
jacket.
crosses.
Yo, that's going in the Hard Rock
This
Cafe
dude.
one day.
Hell yeah, man. Got the nice heart pin that says "fuck off."
Yeah, I can't even imagine.
And the Slayer, of course.
Walking around
This
the
dude is from the South Bronx, Willis Ave.
I got my ass kicked, I got eggs thrown at me, bottles thrown at me, and I'm still here. This part goes out to my best friend Barry, because if it wasn't for him, I used to go to my best friend and ask him, oh boy, I used to ask him for Poison videos. And he got tired of me asking for Poison videos. And he was like, yo, try this out. And he gave me Striper. I was like, oh, that's fucking awesome.
Oh my God.
From Striper, he gave me Slayer. I was like, wow. From Slayer, he gave me Sepultura, and he just took me all the way to Deicide, and that was it. I became the most diabolical motherfucker ever, man.
Yo,
Coming up here, practicing
here it comes.
and meeting you.
What were you listening to?
What were you listening to?
I listened to Menudo, bro. I was blasting Menudo. I'm talking about fucking jamming a fucking steering wheel, just, doing all this shit. And I could go fucking play a fucking show in front of 500, 600 people, break out of the show and go to Merengue Club and rock my fucking ass with it. I could do that.
Yeah, only he could do that.
What I really like is when the white people just singing along, be like, Narco Cabron!
Yeah, this
Well,
kid's
most of them
learning
don't know
to
what the fuck they
They
saying,
have
you know?
no idea what they're saying.
I had one kid came up to me, he was like, yo, cause of you, I fucking pass Spanish. I'm like, alright.
And that's amazing.
That was fucking awesome, that's great. Shailen's 13, my daughter's 6, and my little man, how old is he? 8, no.
7 days.
Yeah, 8 days old. I tried to write the other day, and my son is peeing all over the place. I'm like, oh man. And you look at the words, it's like, no. It's really fucking hard, but you know what? Because of them, I do this. That's another reason. I don't know why. I don't know. I'm not saying this shit's gonna bring me money or fortune or fame, but for some reason, it keeps me strong. It keeps me strong. It keeps me... it keeps me going, man. It keeps me going.
Yeah, but that's the best one. What is that?
This is a rolling pin.
That came from the Bronx.
That's a rolling
Somebody in
pin
the Bronx
with a
made
pipe
that
stuck in the end and tape. That's impressive. Yo, kid was like, yo, I made this for you.
There was one I broke over my head that hurt.
We don't let him use this. The scepter here. This is a different kind of business.
This is
That's the shit right there.
Oh, yeah, here it is, man.
Yo, my father used to beat the shit out of people. My father had one leg. So, with the wooden leg, he used to, get a lot of shit. So, I don't know what he did with it. He made this wood, like, really strong, like, put some kind of a...
It's like petrified wood almost.
Yeah, and he beat the shit out of a lot of people. And before he died, he was like, you should use this. I was like, okay. And I did, and...
It lasted a long time, that one.
It lasted a long fucking time. I gotta bring this back somehow.
Art is an expression of my life. I started drawing artwork when I was in elementary school. I always drew on everything, on the street, on the walls, textbooks, school desk, everything. One day, my teacher called my mom into the school. You know why? All my textbooks were filled with graffiti. When I was in junior high, my friend gave me a tape. I listened to that. Suddenly, my heart went numb. What is this music? I asked my friend. Hardcore, he said. The band was called Agnostic Front. This was the first time I listened to hardcore music.
Yeah, drawing to me brings me to another spot, another platform, another level, it takes me away. Just like music. Music takes me away, You see something in your heart, and you put it down on paper, and it doesn't come out quite the way you want it to. You just draw it again, and then you draw it again. You keep drawing it until it comes out the way you want it to. This is the Everybody Gets Hurt poster. It took me 8 months to draw it. I was hacking away at it, and it was just like not getting done. It was almost like I couldn't do it because there was so much detail involved in it. And I wanted to put it out to all the people who fought for America and really didn't get no pay at the end of it. Really wound up living in nursing homes and stuff, not being able to afford nothing because they didn't have shit for benefits.
protest is the send of me. Like snowflake is my broken city. Death machines fly over our heads, wasting the lives of these innocent men. Deadly hybrids begin to breed. Radiation sleeps in the air we breathe. Abandoned churches where God has been slain. We are the children of a darling age. The people of the aftermath of the shore. Armies of race march through human ash. Terrorists against democracy. They fight for superiority. Symbols of the mind, endurance are broken with Necropolis, city of the dead. Necropolis, city of the dead. Deadly hybrids begin to breed. Radiation sleeps in the air we breathe. Protest human mutation. The bio-war has just begun. Join armies of different creed. Fight the superiority. Jesus is no longer with us. In the city filled with hate. Necropolis, city of the damned. Necropolis, city of the damned.
It's crazy because, you know, you get kids nowadays that don't understand that this scene was built on diversity and unity and like I said, like open-minded attitude. As long as you went in there with good intentions and not to hurt the scene, there to listen to good music, you know, make friends, chill, do whatever, drink, not drink, smoke weed, not smoke weed, whatever. It's all, we were all there for the same reason. Like I said, just to get away from mainstream society and the people that didn't understand where we were coming from. Mainstream establishments like MTV or Big Radio, you know, they came in, they took it apart and they exploited the shit out of it, and they made it into something that it wasn't. Fashion magazines started rocking these styles from, you know, for these kids that were picked on and abused all through high school because they were into that shit, you know what I mean? But the reason why it affected the hardcore scene to me is because there was a whole new generation of kids coming up at that point. These kids, they seen something on the television and they took that as where it came from, and it's not true, you know what I mean? It came from deeper than that. It came from bands like the Bad Brains, you know what I mean? Bands like the Bad Brains who influenced even bands like Nirvana or the Melvins, whoever. But it just sucks because these young kids, you know, they didn't get a chance to really learn what it was all about, and they didn't know what they're missing. So now they're growing up teaching another generation of kids the way they learned it, and then so on and so on, and you know, it has that domino effect, and the meaning of true underground music gets swept away into the fucking garbage. You know what I mean? Part of that is from MTV, big radio, big magazines, big media, the establishment. You know, it was always the underground against the establishment because, you know, it was our home. It was not letting those people in after all the years that they abused us and never gave us a chance until they saw that there was some money involved. You know. And they'll take that and they'll use it They'll take these poppy punk bands out on MTV right now. They'll take all the money, run it through the mill till it doesn't mean anything anymore, and then they'll throw it in the garbage. And then that's, you know, and that's the way those people think. They have no heart. They have no care about where it truly came from. And it sucks because originally it was something so pure and natural and genuine, which was why it was so cool. You know, you had to go out there and you had to go look for the records. Some bands didn't even have records out. Some bands just had demo tapes out. That band could be packing CBGB's, the Anthrax Club at the time, or wherever, just on a demo tape, because it wasn't really about big production. There's a couple songs that are straight up anti, like dope songs, heroin and heavy drugs like that. Like a new song called Dirty Needles and or Swineherd. I had a lot of friends who got all caught up in that scene, and it spawned from one person, you know, and that person brought it onto another person, and they learned about it, got caught up into it, and then, you know, the domino effect happened, and you know, I seen a lot of kids die. Like tons of my friends died on heroin. As a matter of fact, 5 in 2 months, 5 kids passed away through that, and it sucks, man, because they were good kids, really good kids. They just got caught up with the wrong people, the wrong scene, and you know, that stuff it's nothing to joke around with. It grasps a hold of you, it gets a hold of you, and once it does, you know, it's real hard to get out. And then we have other songs like Lionhearted, which deals with overcoming obstacles, overcoming whatever life throws in your way, you know, any problems, any obstacle, any hurdle, any wall that life throws in front of you. It's about mustering up the willpower to knock those walls down and get on top or climb up them and jump over them. I would love to see more participation the way it used to be, man. When I was growing up, seeing these bands for the first time, they had bands that were no names coming in to play the shows, you know what I mean? And kids went off. They went fucking hectic because they felt the music, you know what I mean? It wasn't about who you were, or your status in the scene, or what clique you were in. Kids were just appreciative that this music was here for them, and kids went off. Stage diving, the pits in the middle of the floor, not big open circles right in front of the stage where you can't dive off anymore these days. You know, it was insane, man. You know, walls of death, kids chicken fight and everything. I would love to see that happen again. You know, you really don't anymore because these stupid cliques going around. Kids segregating themselves from this style and that style and this style. You know, it's one family, man. It's one scene. Let's bring it back. You know?
Studio started about 2 years ago with partners of me, Matt Henderson from Madball, and Mike DeJohn from Crown of Thorns. We have a 24-track analog and a whole Pro Tools setup. The analog's just warmer sounding. That's why we track to the analog sound, and it gets like the natural warmth in the beginning. That when you're done with the Pro Tools, that tape compression and stuff is already there. And then what dumping the Pro Tools is you could just do like way more with editing and stuff like that. We all like playing bands. We try to keep it, you know, down to a budget where anyone could come in and record if it's an album or like a demo. The band will come in, we'll set up the kit, you know, I'll like tune the drums, usually like lay down drums or drums and bass first, then go over and kind of build it, like that's the foundation, and build it up from there. Guitars next, vocals, backing vocals and mix. You should definitely buy all new drum heads for your kit, and probably the biggest money saver is getting your instruments set up. That just kind of makes sure they're like in tune, like all over the neck. Like I have so many bands that kind of come in and they'll like record. We'll do all the bass tracks. It's actually happened a couple times, and then the bass was out of tune, like up higher in the neck, and then when we went to overdub everything else, like it just didn't mesh. We had to like get the bass set up and like redo stuff. This is Leroy. He's one of the partners here at Atomic.
fucking smoke clears and the dust settles, we're left with one mission, defending the family's name. We planted our flag years ago and staked our claim. This ain't more metal made for little bitches. This is war metal made for vendettas. The new breed, Billy Club sandwich, everybody gets hurt. Sworn enemy in the mighty, mighty irate. So right now, I'ma see just how far we shut this underground shit in your ass, bitch. I'll step up, you coward, fucking criminals. They're supposed to be rise up. One mission, rise up. Give me the family, step up. You coward, fucking criminals. They're supposed to be rise up. One mission, rise up. Give me the family. We will not be broken by your bunch of fucking hypocrites. Like I beat with you full time, using my name on your own damn game is a damn shame. Your music can make me sick. You sound like some faggot skank in a bullshit. Don't think you can fuck with me. I'll beat you, music with this musically. Straight up above New York, I got my soul step up against your step up. You coward, fucking criminals. Step up to me, rise up. Avengers, rise up. Give them the family, step up. You coward, fucking criminals. Step up to me, rise up. Avengers, rise up. Give them the family. Don't even try to plead your case. It's just got more holes in your fucking face. You're an establishment of a conscience. The song of corporate. So fuck you where you grew. Your man, your friends, and all your family too. I'm ashamed to be your dad. Right now you're making me mad. Yeah, you're making me wanna jump right on a plane. I burst clear just to beat your ass and fly over again. There's no real world of pain and I don't break down when someone fucks with my family. You should have been a man about this. Recognize that we pre-exist, but you took the shady route. That's why I'm here to call you world.
You know, there's a band on the West Coast that calls themselves Irate, or I-R-A-T-E. It's got the periods in between, and it stands for Infinite Rebellion Against the Establishment. And, you know, basically the whole thing started because their manager called me at one point and was like, you know, asking me questions about the band. It was, you know, I'd just woken up and blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden pulls this shit like, you know, well, we're named Irate too, and, you know, you guys shouldn't use that name anymore. We got a record deal, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, we've been around for a lot longer than they have, and they just put their first record out this year. You know, we're not going to pay money to go to court over it, and they want to, you know, be punks about it and, you know, use the name that they know we've had for a long time. As a kid, it was, you know, listening to it was an outlet, and, you know, wanting to learn how to, you know, play an instrument and do it. And then, you know, as an adult, I don't think that, you know, things still piss me off all the time, but it's like I have a positive outlet for it. It's like I can take it and I can, you know, write something about it, or take it out in a different way that maybe is even more, you know, more satisfying than you know, punching holes in the wall, or, you know, doing what you do when you're a kid.
Friends, family, you know, kill your mother, rape your dog, all that shit. You know, and it's really not all about that, except for some death metal. Mm-hmm. But, you know, the music's good. It's just on a whole different level than, you know, what most people think it is. Pretty much everybody's just ignorant to what it's all about. You know, they hear the distorted guitars and they really can't make out the tones coming out of the guitars. So it's like in their minds, and they don't know what the fuck is going on. And it's just people screaming and all that shit. But it's really more to it when you sit down and you listen to it. Watch my dad when I was a kid, because he was into a lot of music. He played guitar and he was into like funk and blues, everything pretty much. Taught me my first guitar chords, and from there, you know, everything just came by ear. You know, I had really spent a lot of time trying to just analyze the music that I was listening to.
And you look at both scenes and they both take from each other, because metal bands love the breakdowns that hardcore bands use and love that, you know, slow it down like that. And then hardcore bands definitely like, you know, it's like, you know, anyone who covers a Slayer tune, every hardcore kid in the fucking place is going crazy, you know. And it's so I think it's sort of funny that they even get separated so much, because it's like they're really coming from the same place. They're both based on you know, on anger, really. Even with trying to distribute our own record, it's like, you know, you go to a hardcore label, and it's, or not a label, but a distributor, and it's too metal, and you go to a metal distributor, and they're like, oh, well, we don't want to do hardcore, it's more of a metal thing. But I think, you know, as far as people who listen to us that go, you know, they're going to like us for what we do, and I don't think, you know, really whatever tag you want to put on us. I mean, musically, yeah, we are more metal, but we came out of New York, and we've been, you know, playing hardcore shows, you know, most of our you know, career as a band, so it's something like where we're in touch with both sides of it. People won't distribute your shit when you're DIY. It's like, you know, you don't really have a label name, you put it out yourselves. And we've tried to do promotions where we sent out a lot of things to radio stations that would play types of music like ours, that play other bands like us, but then because we're not on a label, even a label that they know, it's like, you know, the whole industry it's, you know, it's all you gotta, everyone's fucking greasing each other's palms and shit. So if you're on the outside of that, to bust into that bubble is not exactly easy. It's definitely a benefit to having someone who's sort of, you know, in the loop already helping you out, as opposed to you being like, you know, help us out and, you know, or do this, or, you know, buy our shit or check this out, and nobody even fucking listens to you, because it's like, you know, who the fuck are you? You don't have a label, you're not this or that, you know. That's pretty much how most people will treat you when you don't have one. So, not that I think, you know, it should be that way, but the reality is it is that way.
It's hard to find metalheads, you know, in the Bronx. I remember going to school and, you know, the metalhead crew was just like a bunch, like maybe 5-6 guys, you know, real diehard metal fans, and, you know.
How big was your school?
Maybe 4,000 or 5,000 kids.
Five out of
4,000 or 5,000 rappers. All right.
five metal kids. Five metal.
And merengue kids. All right.
When I was a kid, I was convinced that white people were cool. Being black was like, damn. I remember being all upset, like, I want to be white. I wish I was white.
Her head hangs down.
It's funny, you know, being older and looking at the way the punk scene works versus the way that regular society works. The people involved in it are reflections of the culture that they're trying to get away from. So I mean, there's still sexism, there's still homophobia, there's still racism, and things like, you know, racism isn't going to be addressed unless the people of color are very vocal about it. And it's hard to be like that one person who's different and to speak up against all the other people. The reality is that like most people who get involved in punk get involved because they kind of feel like different from other people, and this was like a place where they could feel a little bit more comfortable. For black folks, that's the reality too, but even within the community, you feel different, you know, because it's like you're probably the only person there who is black. On the same tip, you know, when you go back to your neighborhood or you're with your family or whatever, and you're doing this thing that is considered white, again, you have people putting you on the other kind of, you know, as an other. So, you know, once again, you're in this place where, you know, you're a punk to them, you're a punk to the punks. You know, it's like, it's another experience, definitely. Even doing a screening, like I'll see, you know, say I go to Chicago, right? I'll be there, and there'll be all these people of color who are into the punk scene there, right? And none of them knew each other before, you know, and you know, they're standing up during the Q&A telling me like how they're alone in the scene, this, that, and the other, and I'm like, look around you, there are so many. Look at, like, you know, you're not alone, you just are not reaching out.
You know, when I went downtown, I saw a bunch of dynamics. Of course, there was the overall downtown thing, but within that, there was all these subdivisions of genre. You know, even within punk rock, there was like the drunk punks, then the peace punks, the political punks, the squatting punks. Some of them were all down in the same set, some weren't. Then there was the poser punks. Then you had the skinheads, you had the Krishna skins, then you had the straight edge skins, you had the sharp skins, you had the Nazi skins. I mean, the shit was like, wow, this shit was nuts.
It started just getting like, whoa, you know, like, where do I fit in now?
Like, I felt like that I totally didn't fit in with the white punk kids, you know what I'm saying? It's like, I had to go out of my way to prove that I was punk to them.
I had to go, like, 9 times harder than the average person, or let's say a white person.
I would put up my mohawk and I would, you know, rip my t-shirt and put all these safety pins on and cut myself with a razor and, you know, all this junk. And
one of the first times I actually grew dreads was because I felt that I wanted to have the flowing hair of the Caucasian.
I really wanted to have spiky hair. And eventually, I think at the end of high school, I straightened my hair to have spiky hair. I really wanted to have punk rock hair.
I actually did straighten my hair for a while. I was always straightening my stuff.
I actually stopped straightening my hair for this whole summer, and I felt really like I was being stared at. I felt really conspicuous, and like people were really judging me.
When I first started going to shows, and like I was the only African American kid there, it was kind of weird. It was kind of like I felt out of place, and like I didn't really know like who to talk to and like where to stand and like if I should be here.
I would feel like everyone turns around, look at the black girl coming in.
You know, I'm usually always the only black person.
Usually, I'm the only fucking black kid at shows.
It's usually I'm the only black person.
Yeah, I was like the only black person there.
And I'm the only one that I know of.
There's 300 white kids and 2 black kids. You're just like, damn. Yeah.
How would you like to fuck my ass? How would you like to fuck my ass?
It's open.
Hi, I'm supposed to start the waitressing job today. I don't know.
You know, you might want to consider wearing some tighter clothes, some short skirts. Customers will tip better.
Yeah. Do the girls make a lot of money in tips here?
For girls, honey, the tips all go to me. How do you think I keep this place in business?
But that's not fair. I mean, I'm not
If you don't
trying
like it, you can leave. There's plenty of girls who need jobs.
That's fucked up.
Whoa, take it easy. You need to relax.
No thanks, I'm not into that.
Listen, honey, most girls will fuck for a line of shit. Are we gonna have a little fun or what?
Alright. I'll have some fun. You go first.
Okay, baby.
Dick.
I'm so excited to look out at all you guys and see fucking hardcore kids and punk rock kids, metal kids, and whatever other subgenre you want to classify yourself into in this room. There's no reason not for us to get along, for us not to come to shows together and fucking be friends. We don't even have to fucking be friends. We just have to be able to coexist in this room for the 5 hours that we're here without beating the shit out of each other. I just don't understand the point of us taking cheap shots at each other when we're all trying to get away from the same thing.
Definitely in like high school and like, you know, like middle school and high school and stuff, I really never really fit in. I was like never really fully into sports or anything. I was just kind of like, I didn't get along with like all like the jock kids and stuff. I started going to shows and I found this community of people that were like pretty much just like me. It carries you through all those years where if you didn't have it, you'd probably be like pretty lonely and pretty much just a loner and just kind of hanging out to yourself until you put on a trench coat and walk into school and shoot half the school up. But yeah, it definitely kept me sane, keeps me sane, like music in general. Now it's like the kids who come who don't fit in, like they're made to feel just like as if they were in like high school, as if they're walking down the halls and getting picked on by like the football team guys. And that's because hardcore and punk has become so mainstream that you can be the captain of the football team or you can be the popular guy in the band in your high school who comes into this scene and then carries with him or her all the stuff that they would have left back in high school had they not discovered music. They still pick on people for what they look like. They still, give people a hard time for what they listen to or what they believe. And yeah, I honestly believe that like now it's kind of like hardcore and punk has kind of become like really convoluted and weird and like definitely instead of like at times I see it instead of being an escape for a lot of people, or an escape for all of us, or us pulling our community away from like the fucked up shit that goes on. The greater issues of society that we should be like fighting against, I see filtering down into the scene as being accepted. You know, I see kids getting picked on. I see little kids coming to shows and being made to feel uncomfortable, being made to stand in the back. I see girls coming to shows, you know, strictly to pick up the boys and not to be a part of the scene, not to stand up front, or to be made to, that they have to feel that they have to stand in the back, you know. And that's all bullshit that, like, as far as I'm concerned, when I first got into it, and for years and years, was all things that we didn't really stand for, which made us a little different, and, you know, not necessarily better, but just different than what was going on in the rest of the world. I'm a firm believer in everyone has to, like, find their own path in this world. You know, I've had really good friends that were straight edge that stopped being straight edge. I've had band members that were straight edge that stopped being straight edge, and I just realized a long time ago that getting caught up in, like, that label is, like, a really unhealthy way to live, because you're just going to wind up being disappointed more often than not by what people do. So I kind of took straight edge as just a choice that I felt was, like, really, like, the right thing to do for my life, and then just, you know, decided I'm not going to write songs about it, I'm not going to talk about it on stage, I'm not going to run around X'd up at shows. You know, it's like a lot of people are just, like, think that it's like I'm just, like, a grumpy guy who, like, bitches about the internet every time we play, but it's like, you know, it's like I've just never in my life seen a medium with so much potential that's just exploited in completely the wrong direction. Like, it's just such a place where, like, people now sit and they bitch and they talk shit, yet they don't talk about music, they don't talk about shows, they don't, you know, it's like there's more time spent thinking up your witty post on the message boards than actually going out to the shows. If kids expended 1/4 of the energy they must expend scouring the internet for gossip and put it back into the scene, I think the scene would be a lot stronger. There would be a lot less drama. All the internet serves to do these days is totally cause drama in the scene and totally give, like, really weak-willed people who have no ability to speak their mind in public, a forum where they can hide behind a name and sit in a dark room and, like, have their little rants and not suffer any repercussions and not suffer any dialogue with the people they're talking shit on. And it's like, I think it is the absolute worst thing to ever happen to punk rock and hardcore. The advent of, like, the message board culture. What happened to people coming together at shows and talking about the last awesome record they bought, or how good the last band was? Or when did you ever see a show where, like, everyone showed up and checked out, like, the first handful of bands that were on the bill? Like, it never happens anymore. It never, everyone is too caught up in, like, everything else other than, like, the shows and the music and the people who are, like, you know, trying really hard to, like, keep things going.
Nothing better to do with our lives. Where do we go when we get back from tour? You know, there's nowhere to go. That's what we just complained about. So this is, like, at least a place to do interviews, a place for our friends to, all our friends have tattoos, a place to get tattooed. You know, why are we gonna send business to all these other people that show us no respect? When we have our own friends that tattoo, we can put them in our own room, all hang out, eat pizza, drink beer, smoke weed. No, we sell records. It's the only place you can find obscure, like, bands from hardcore bands from Europe and Japan. Frankie is a friend of mine from many years ago. He comes from Ohio, and he tattooed on St. Mark's Place for a long time for Jonathan Shaw. And he came to us a long time ago, and then so did his good friend Elvis, also tattooed on St. Mark's. And they're just, you know, they're part of more of our circle, our family. So that's where they come from, and that's. I think people that are part of go to hardcore shows, like our hardcore bands, that the tattoo artists are into the same music, into the same stuff. So when you want to get a certain tattoo, they understand what you want to get. There's tattoo galleries and tattoo parlors. This is a tattoo parlor. We sit, we smoke cigars, we drink beer, and we get tattooed, and we talk a lot of shit.
You got any cigars?
It's a beauty parlor for ugly people.
It's the best tattoo parlor in New York.
The toughest.
The toughest. You gotta come here. Joey Fudgegats. Joey Fudgegats. He's from the neighborhood, Joey Fudgegats.
He's one of those guys.
Yeah, he's one of them guys, you know?
You know, Joey Fudgegats.
You know that guy over there?
He's that guy. He's that guy. You know? You know what I'm talking about? That's who Joey Fudgegats. I admit it.
Come here, when you break your arm and tattoo it.
That's it.
After we tattoo your arm, we'll break it. Send you to Joey Fudgegats to the back room, lump you up.
That's the story of Joey Fudgegats there. There is no story. You know, I had like a regular job, union job, dropped out of high school, and was fixing elevators. But I was also playing in a band at night. And the boss told me one day, he was like, well, you're always late for work. He's like, you know, you can do one thing or the other. And you could always be an elevator mechanic. That's what I was doing, but you can't always be a musician. And I was like, I mean, I could always make music, but at the age I was at, you know, he was right in a lot of ways, but also wrong in other ways, because it's always good to have something else to fall on. Because this is not a living, it's a life. And it's a non-stop struggle to pay the band's bills, to just go to you can't go to the dentist because you can't afford practice. It's just like you're paying to fix the van. You know, when you really make this your life, it's very, 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 very hard. Especially with a form of music such as hardcore, which doesn't get acknowledged by anyone. You know, you go to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, they go from punk to metal, jump over hardcore and go to grunge, and they don't even mention the form of hardcore music. But yet it's one of the longest lasting forms of music that there are right now, if you think about it. Back then there wasn't much of a difference. Punk and it was hardcore. The term was called hardcore punk rock. And to me, hardcore punk rock represented, it represented not going so extreme to the fashion part of punk music. So hardcore punk rock was a dressed down form of punk music. I think it could really confuse kids now that are getting into the music, because a lot of this stuff now is pop music, and it's not punk music. Punk music sings of the streets, it sings of politics, social strife, things like that. Once all the record labels and stuff came into this whole thing, it was just like it messed everything up. Because people's, money's involved. Once money gets involved, and a lot of money, people change. It's not, to do it for nothing is to do it for love. To do it for money is different. First of all, they're trying to tell you what to do. Because, and it's not even that they're paying you, they're just lending you money. You have to recoup all that money, which inevitably becomes the destruction of the band. Sheer Terror happened to them. They signed to a major label. Signed to a major label, they expect major sales. If you don't sell a lot of records, then you're done. And not only are you done, but the record you just put out, they own. So then they don't put that record out, your fan base can't get it, and they don't feel it viable to put out anymore. So now you're stuck. They own your music, they own the songs, they own the record. You can't put the record out to your fans, you can't even sell them at shows. You're fucked, you're done. There's a lot of so-called hardcore and punk rock labels out there that do the same thing. They monopolize the scene. Certain tours, like the Warped Tour, does the same thing. Just certain bands on certain labels or with certain managers or affiliated with certain lawyers or certain agencies get on that tour. I think it also destroys the local punk club. It'd be one thing if they had that show, which it travels through the whole United States, and after the show they do a small show, or they do support the local punk club, do a show there, or have the after show party there. But it seems it's an all take and no give. A lot of people say support the scene, but they're the first ones sneaking into the show for free. They're the first ones sneaking quarts of beer in and not supporting the bar. What supports the scene? People paying to get in, people buying drinks at the bar, and it shows that the bands are worth something. Not showing up with a quart of beer under your jacket, starting a fight, sneaking in the back door, and kicking the toilet or the sink out of the wall. That destroys a scene. That destroys a show. Then you never see hardcore band. Then kids complain, oh, there's nowhere to play. Well, maybe you should have thought about that after you trashed the bathroom at the last show. Well, you can't take yourself too seriously, because if you do, you're a fool. And then you're actually more funny to the people around you than you think. I got a lot of friends that just stand there and just like grumpy, and what does that prove? It doesn't prove anything. It gives you a headache and it makes you look like a jerk. And the people that have to show off and show that they're tough and angry all the time are very insecure people. I can be silly and I can be happy and I can have a good time, and I know I have a lot of love for my friends. I don't need to emanate a tough guy persona, but a lot of bands I also feel are just pegged into this, they have to play this dunk, 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 which a lot of it now is metal. If you really listen to it and compare it to other music, it's not really we've lost our punk roots, and it's turning into this metal monster. And I don't know. Maybe I'm an old man, but I don't like it. I like punk rock. I like hardcore punk rock. It's tough guy shit. What is this? What do you got to prove? No, I got nothing to fucking prove, man. I am who I am, you know? And if you got a problem with me, here I am. But unfortunately, to hear about 500 songs about that, it gets a little played. Try singing about pussy. Try getting laid. You know, that's what we need more at shows. Girls. Girls are nice. They smell good and they taste good. And there's no guy, if you look, it's just guys at the shows. It's a dude ranch. That also goes to the fact that there's too many fights. Girls don't want to stand around while a bunch of guys beat each other up. It is very, very homoerotic, so to say. It's just a bunch of guys with no shirts on punching the shit out of each other. That's not what I got into this for.
Hi, Mom. Yeah, it's me. Yeah, I know. I just wanted to let you know I'm okay, alright? I know. I am too. I've just been thinking a lot. There's just some things I wanted to talk to you about, and I think I have to say, you know? Well, I mean, look at us. Look at our family. Everything that's going on has really been bringing me down, and I really don't want to let it bring me down anymore. I just can't take it sometimes, you know, the fighting and screaming, arguing over money. You talk about me like I'm not even there sometimes, you know, right in front of my face. And I know you don't mean to. I know you don't want to, but it's really rough. And the drinking, yeah, Dad's got to cut that out, you know? So I think that has a lot to do with it. It's just, you know, I love you. I love you. I love Dad. And it's just, life is just too short to keep living like this and fighting like this. I just want to let you know that even though we fight and I disappear every once in a while, I just have to think. And I love you, and I'll do anything to help us get out of this. Because this is really getting out of hand, you know, Mom? And I'll do anything I can to help you. Help us. We have to work this out, and I know we can. And you know, I have all these things that I want to do with my life, and I got this great offer coming up, and I have to take it, and I need to know that you're going to support me and that it's going to be okay. What am I doing? Well, for the next couple months, I'm going to go away, and I'm going to go to Japan and play in Japan with my band. I want you to be happy for me, and I want to be happy to go. It's something that I've always wanted to do, and I hope you understand that. Yeah. I love you too. I'll see you later. Bye.
Winter time in 1989. My doctor won't help, my feet are frozen to the bone. You crawled down Avenue Way, the toughest girl that day. You smoked sweet metal grunts and threw me in the trunk. Well, I'm not dumb, you showed me things, shook the dust off, kissed the rings, dropped me off to meet the band, pressed the keys inside my head, said, hey, hey.
Not for nothing. Richie A. Bangers, if you jumped at me, I'd run for the hills, pal.
Well, I started playing music when I was 2 years old, so I've been playing music my whole life. I was still am constantly classically trained violinist, and I was going to be a concert violinist. And just, you know, life happens and you start getting angry, and here came metal, and from metal I found hardcore and punk and all that through friends, through going to school. I got taken to a show at Wetlands, I think, and just fell in love and started going to shows every week. My first hardcore show, I think, was 13 Stitches in Yuppie Side at the Wetlands. And I actually never been in a show like that before. I'd only been to stadium shows, things like that, and it's my first like show at a club. And my friend and I were dancing. I forgot what we were doing. I was like, this is great! You know, everybody's kicking and flying around, and we started spinning. And we just did like this nice headbutt thing. And I just felt this trickle of blood. I was like, it's not me. Wow. And I looked at my friend, and his head is just like cut open. I was like, yes! I love this. So we spent the rest of that show at the hospital. So I missed the show. Only saw one band. That was my first hardcore show. Music has been the way that I express myself. And hardcore is special in the sense that it doesn't come from this whole fantasy world that you build yourself up. It's not, you know, it's not metal monsters or, you know, rap gangsters so much. Well, not all of it, but, you know, it's like Joey down the block. Joey Fachigats down the block wrote a song because his, you know, his friend dicked him over or, you know, broke up with your girlfriend, or you're just angry, or you lost your best friend, or somebody in your family died, or it just comes from a very real place, and it doesn't try to be fancy, and it doesn't put on airs. It's just real, and that's the most special part of it for me. It doesn't try to be complicated. It doesn't try to be technical. It doesn't try to impress you. It just, when it's honest, it's good, and that's what makes it that special. Is the honesty, the fact that you say, look, I'm angry, and I'm going to show you how angry I am. I'm not going to try to make it pretty, and it may not rhyme, and we may fuck up the song every time, but this is me. But my violin teacher wasn't shocked at all, because he actually, he taught me ever since I was, I think, 10 years old, and I was in orchestra, and I was going through my pre-teen crisis, teen crisis, and dressing all in black, and he just turns to me one day, he's like, what's going on with you? I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, you're just different. And the logical question, I think, for most people, their next question would be, are you on drugs? And he turns to me and he says, what are you listening to? And I said, you want to know what I'm listening to? Come here. I got my mom's car keys. It's the middle of a orchestra rehearsal on a Saturday. And I go in the car with him, and I put on the stereo, and I put in Metallica Ride the Lightning. And we listened to the whole album, beginning to end. And he says, Frank Levitin says to me, them guys got some fucking balls. This is good. You keep listening to this. You keep doing it. I think people that really know you or know me, they know when something is real and something is from the heart and it's positive. They're gonna encourage you to continue, and that's what he did. He said, I don't care what you're doing, just as long as it's positive and it's honest. Don't let go of it. This is good. It's just a different form of release. Mozart is one day, and you know, Killing Time is another day. Sheer Terror is another day. But it's all the same. It all comes from the same place. I think we as a culture, we're not trained. Girls aren't really trained to think like, I'm angry, let me show it. Let me pick up a guitar and do it. Or let me get some drums and do it. We're just taught to cope in different ways. It's hard for me to speak about this so much too, because of my musical background. That's the only logical choice for me. But I think people maybe romanticize too much about being in a band. They think like these guys have all these lessons and all that. Everybody I know, one day they woke up and they said, I'm gonna play guitar, and they went to the store and they got a guitar. They didn't know how many strings were on it. They didn't know how to tune it. They just said, you know, that band is cool. I want to be like them. Let me get something and just do it. And I think once more girls start coming out and seeing other girls do it, they can go, wow, I could do this too. And not be so scared about, you know, what will the boys think? What will my friends think? What, you know, guys don't want a girl that's too aggressive. Guys don't want, you know, look at you, that's not pretty. That's not, but I mean, if you go to hardcore shows, you're seeing more and more girls dancing, more and more girls going off as hard as the guys, sweating and fighting and all the good stuff and the bad stuff of it. And sooner or later, I think it's going to get more and more comfortable and more accepted for girls to be a part of it as far as playing is concerned. Because not to be intimidated by them. Because that's a lot of it too. It's like putting people that are in other bands higher up or someplace else. We're all in this together.
I gotta tell you the truth. If many of mine came home like this, I would be scared to death. I'd throw them out of the house. Are you mad at your folks? Is that what this is about? The world is a crock. Everybody's chasing phony values, and this is your statement.
I have a 7-year-old son that would be scared to death if she was his baby. I don't consider her a kid anymore. My gosh, and you're 20 years old. You know, you should be doing a little bit more with your life than sitting there going like this.
What do you suggest I do with my life?
Well, I have a 14-year-old daughter who goes to school, babysits to buy her own clothes and things like that. Do these kids go to school? Do they babysit?
Buy some clothes, yeah.
Well, does that make you angry? And how would you feel if your child did that? And I think there's a lot of boredom out there. And if we build activity centers for you, you'll laugh at us. You won't even go. 7 to 11 is where you want to stand around.
It's more or less we notice problems in our society, and we will express our dissatisfaction over them, and then because of our true concern, we will propose a solution for the problems.
Is there some kind of joy? Do you get a little bit of a kick out of making a... Look how thrilled this woman is. You know what I mean? I know how she feels. Now, do you get some kick out of making us feel that way?
What way do you feel? Everybody feel anyway. We're just we're doing our own thing. We're just having fun.
But I think they're very insightful young people.
What do these kids really want, and what are you looking for? I want money.
I want to have fun.
I'm looking for...
They want to have...
Well, people are always seeming to try to tell us what to do, where to go, how to talk, how to walk, what to wear. And I think that our culture, or whatever you want to call it, our friends, we're all just friends, really. Yeah. We're just trying to say that maybe there's an alternative to what is set before us and dictated to us.
Yeah.
I think the problem I have with the group is it's against prejudice and it's against stereotype, and yet they do the same to the other majority. And it's sort of, you're guilty of the sins that you seek to condemn.
Yes.
I feel that you people have excessive needs for attention.
You are all drug-free.
Oh, definitely.
Of course.
Now, okay, the laughter suggests that they don't believe you.
Oh, of course they do. Don't you believe me? Us, right?
Jimmy is from Queens. You're the lead singer in the Heart.
Queens.
You're a leader in the group Murphy's Law.
I'm not leader. I'm just a singer.
You're just a singer.
Yeah, the rest of the guys are over there. Yeah. Uncle Alan Petey.
What does this say?
Michelle! That's what it says, antisocial.
Yeah, and it's a tattoo.
Yeah.
On your body for life.
Yep.
This is a group of people who, from the moment they were old enough to know what's what, had adults, including parents, saying, "How come you're not doing? How come you? Why are you? You're always criticism all the time. You're always doing that. And so you get to be 16 and you paint your hair orange. You give them the finger and you say, "Now I've done everything you expected me to do," and you're loving it. And you, am I close? No. Toppling, smashing, the statues go crashing, and all your ancient ideals, your morals we question. Put them to testing, rules broken you thought were of steel.
The greatest thing I see about hardcore scene today, well, actually before, it was very independent. People put on their own shows. Kids up in Albany, New York, kids in Rhode Island, kids in New York, put on their own shows at their own risk. People put out their own magazines. Bands put out their own records.
It's like an entrepreneurial feature to this thing. Yeah.
It's a great thing, and there's no big business to interrupt it until recently.
What happened recently?
Recently, I'm not saying if it's good or bad, but bigger record labels move in, big business at shows.